Is fear killing us? Hi, I'm Reverend Andrew Bozeman, and this is On the Wings of Your Mind. Is fear killing us? You know, as we look around us, it seems that we might be in the middle of a diabolical war, and it's being powered by an overriding atmosphere of fear. Slowly but surely, the fear quotient is being pushed up as our lives are being permanently modified, and not for the best. Financially, the citizens of our country are being devastated. Student loans are crippling, people are being evicted, and homes are being lost in the growing mortgage crisis. People are trying to buy homes and are being outbid by rich financial companies that are buying them up with huge piles of cash. Jobs are being wiped out. Homelessness is on the rise. Our healthcare system has become the worst among all the developed countries. Infant death rates are up. Care for the elderly is questionable. We have fewer doctors per capita than other countries. The cost of medications is through the roof. The administrative costs of healthcare are skyrocketing so that fewer people can afford access to healthcare. And the American middle class is being wiped out, leaving a big gap of financial inequality between the rich and the poor. And now we're being required to show papers in order to move about in our own city. Papers. The forces working against us are too strong and too far out of reach for any kind of protest to work. And the people who are supposed to be on our side, the ones we elected into office, are no longer listening to us. They only listen to the people with money. And the major media keep pounding that drum and screaming that we're all going to die. We're all going to die. Please click on the thumbs up button below, and if you haven't already done so, please choose to subscribe. You know, I'd love to hear your thoughts, your comments, your suggestions, and your shares. So please use the chat box on the right side of the screen or the comment section below the video. Fear. Fear immobilizes most people. Fear is the mind killer. So when you succumb to fear, when we succumb to fear, we become victims. We become ineffective. We become easy prey. You know, some animals fall over when they're in fear, when they feel they are being approached by danger. I guess they fall over and play dead in the hope that if they don't move, then the danger will eventually pass. Others, though, will turn around and refuse to surrender, and instead they will fight like crazy. So which one are you? You know, you don't have to choose between those two alternatives because there is a third way. The way that rises above the physical and accesses the power that exerts its influence down upon the so-called real world. That's the way of spiritual empowerment. That's the way of the spiritual warrior. The spiritual warrior knows that infinite intelligence, you know, we are individualized expression of infinite intelligence. So the spiritual warrior knows that infinite intelligence has the answer. Infinite intelligence is not fazed by vast material wealth. Infinite intelligence is not intimidated by overwhelming military force. Infinite intelligence is not cowed by chicken little screams of impending doom. Infinite intelligence is in all, above all, under all, and through all. Infinite intelligence invites the spiritual warrior to believe and then to go beyond belief to unshakable knowledge, knowledge of the truth. Infinite intelligence invites the spiritual warrior to know that it has the power that is so eloquently described in the 91st Psalm. Whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. Surely He will save you from the fowler snare and from the deadly pestilence. He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness will be your shield and rampart. You will not fear the terror of night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that stalks in the darkness, nor the plague that destroys at midday. 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near you. Now, those who seek to disempower us so that we're docile and obedient, they have no respect for us as people. They have no respect for our power as spiritual beings. There are many of those in the public eye who seek to dismiss the power of faith. They call it superstition. They call us who are faithful ignorant sheep. But those of us who are working to be spiritual warriors are not deterred by the name calling. We know that although we can feel the fear, we will not surrender to the fear. We will not succumb to the damage that fear can do to us psychologically or physically. Okay, fear is a natural feature in the human body, so it's not something you're going to get rid of. It's hardwired into us. It's called the fight or flight or freeze response. It's fear that makes us run when we're being chased by a saber-toothed tiger. Trouble is, the saber-toothed tiger became extinct 10,000 years ago. So even though we don't have no longer have to run away from animals, wild animals, at least not in the city, we still have the fight or flight or freeze response that exists in our DNA. It's embedded in us. And so living in a civilized society, I'll admit, it still puts us in situations that invoke our fear response. We experience fear when we have to take a test in school. We experience fear when we have to go out for a job interview. We experience fear when we have to go into the boss's office and ask for a raise. We experience fear when we go out on a first date. We experience fear when we sit and watch a horror movie. We experience fear when we have to stand up and make a presentation before a group. You know, we're being pushed into fear situations all the time. We're being immersed every day in an overall atmosphere of fear that exists in our society and is being amplified by the continuous alarms being shouted out at us by the media outlets that surround us on TV and on the internet and in newspapers. Fear is a part of our everyday lives, and admittedly, fear is not always a bad thing. Sometimes it's a great motivator. Fear of failure can inspire outstanding performances. I can remember as an actor, I felt fear on opening night before going on stage. At those times, the fear would energize me and give me an extra burst of energy to do my very best. Athletes will tell you they feel fear sometimes before they have their event comes up when they have to compete. But that fear gives them an extra boost of energy, an extra burst. But in the presence of fear, too many of us, too often, feel undermined. Our confidence is undermined. Our minds are blocked when we need to come up with an answer. And sometimes we feel vulnerable and paralyzed when we really need to be active and strong. Living in a state of fear, as so many of us do today, places our bodies in a state of chronic stress. Now, chronic stress means that the fight or flight mechanism is always in an active state, even when there's nothing there to run away from. The fight or flight mechanism generates a cocktail of chemicals in our body to prepare our bodies for a crisis situation. You know, our hearts beat faster, more blood is rushed to our muscles, the digestive system is turned off, our frontal cortex is turned off because we don't need to think, we need to act. Our liver generates more sugar to feed our muscles. So if that mechanism is operating all the time, what we go into is what is known as chronic stress, because the chemicals that can amp you up for a crisis situation can actually burn you out if they're there all the time. Medical science tells us that chronic stress can lead to things like high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, nerve diseases, and psychological disorders. You know, studies have shown that a large percentage of cancer patients are suffering from chronic stress issues. So those who seek to push our fear buttons are actually activating the mechanisms that can kill us. Fear can actually kill us through the slow burn of chronic stress. So it's critical that we get beyond having those fear buttons pushed all the time. We got to disconnect those fear buttons. You know, according to Matt Mayberry, a high-performance coach, creating a mantra for yourself is a way to rewire your brain to overcome your fears and develop a state of inner peace that strengthens and empowers you when you need to get through fear and continue forward with confidence. A mantra, that is something that you can short that you can repeat over and over again to calm you down. I remember one time in my life, I had a mantra that was actually a reduced version of a mantra that appears in the Frank Herbert books known as the Dune, D-U-N-E series. I used to say, I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. I will face my fear. I will let it pass through me. And when the fear has passed, only I will remain. So Matt Mayberry says that it's important that you rewire your brain to overcome fear because we've been trained from childhood to believe that we can't do something or we can't be something or we can't have something. We're told to be quiet, to be still, to not misbehave, to not rock the boat. Well, if we can continue to accept our childhood programming, then we're going to end up being victimized. We're going to end up sitting in the corner and disappearing from the world. So one thing we need to do is this. When fear is felt, we need to figure out what is actually frightening us. Sometimes it's nothing concrete. It's just a sense that something might go wrong. And you know, quite often, the thing we fear going wrong does not happen. Other times it's something that you can identify. Once you can identify it, once you can identify what you're afraid of, then you are on the way to beating it. You're on the way to reclaiming your power. You see, your peace is your power. Your faith is your power. Your understanding of reality is your power. As a spiritual warrior, it is your knowledge that there is nothing that is stronger than infinite intelligence that gives you your power. You are an individualized expression of infinite intelligence. By training yourself, by training your mind and your heart to know that infinite intelligence is always with you, always expressing as you, then you've achieved the first step to overcoming fear. When you learn to overcome your fear, whatever frightens others will not frighten you, because you know that you are protected by the spiritual energy that surrounds you, the spiritual energy of infinite intelligence. That spiritual energy starts in your heart. It starts in your heart and radiates out around you to influence your environment, your circumstances, and the people around you. And as that energy becomes stronger, your peace will help influence situations and circumstances that can possibly bring harm to you and help you bring about the best outcomes for your well-being. Your well-being comes from your peace. The key is to be at peace instead of in fear. Be at peace instead of in fear. So how do you do that? Let's talk about it tomorrow. In the meantime, let's close with prayer. Thank you, Infinite Intelligence, for bringing all of us together in this life so that we may become spiritual warriors and join in the work we have come here to do. Thank you, Infinite Intelligence, for bringing us into this space of awareness and a deeper understanding of ourselves and our relationship to life and infinite intelligence. Thank you for showing us who we really are. We open our minds and hearts to the truth of our being. We are the children of God. We are individualized expressions of infinite intelligence. And because we are part of the greater whole, we're beginning to understand our value to the continuity of life on this planet. As we become channels of your power, infinite intelligence, we can feel your presence within ourselves and within our lives more and more. We know that as we feel your presence within our lives every day, we will rise because we are no longer cut off from you by being immersed in the darkness of fear, anger, and the pain of unforgiveness. So we are now restoring our connection through the grace of forgiveness, knowing that as we learn to forgive ourselves for the pain we have caused to ourselves, and as we learn to forgive those who inflicted pain upon us, our connections will grow stronger, and our lives will grow happier and healthier and more prosperous. And for this, we are truly grateful. As above, so below. As within, so without. And so it is. Amen. Please click on the thumbs up button below, and if you haven't already done so, please choose to subscribe to my broadcast. Remember, I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments, so please use the comment section below the video. Thank you for watching, spending some time with me. I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow to continue this discussion. In the meantime, I am Reverend Andrew Bozeman, and this is On the Wings of Your Mind.